that. Oh, I saw a grasshopper, so I wanted to show you that. He jumped off just before I just caught a flash of green. He just jumped off before I could see him. Nobody using guari pan today.
Yeah, stand by. Hi CJ, great to hear from you. Welcome on board this morning. And you're right, we haven't seen or heard the guinea fowl very much recently. But they don't migrate, they are resident here all year round. And I think Induna's been terrorising them. We saw Induna catching breakfast probably about 5 or 6 days ago now, and he managed to catch a baby guinea fowl. They tend to be more on the open area in the western side. It's a little bit more overgrown at the moment. I think that's possibly part of the reason why, because the vegetation has grown so much that it's concealing them extremely well at the moment. So they are here, we're just not seeing them, I think. It's funny, I have heard that guinea fowl are starting to decline in numbers. Flocks don't seem to be as big as what they used to be in some areas. Could be losing the habitat. Although it is quite a widespread bird now, it's been taken all around the world. I know there's some guinea fowl even in the UK. But I think between Misha and Duna, I think they're working on the guinea fowl extremely well. Where we used to see quite a large flock of them, I don't think we're seeing too many of them now, even when we do see them. We've seen the boys on a number of occasions hunting guinea fowl and being quite successful. So back on Central, we're going to take Miana Road south, down to the south. And we'll head around towards Twin Dams. Maybe come back up towards Treehouse. To Zoe's Road. Ooh, a kingfisher in the tree. Looks like a brown hooded this time. And that is woodlands. Just with the lighting, it looked a little bit different. Woodland kingfisher. Now we saw the pie kingfisher a little bit earlier. This particular species is one of the ones that nests in the trees, and you won't often find them near water holes. They'll go there to drink, but they don't fish. Well, they're not supposed to fish. I've seen them fishing on occasion, but it's rarely that they will fish. They tend to eat lizards and insects, maybe small rodents if they see them and catch them, rather than fish. And out of the 10 species of kingfisher in South Africa, only 4 really have fish as a main part of the diet. Most of the other kingfishers are found in the bushveld. But the pied is one of those that you will find, and they will eat fish as the main part of the diet. The giant kingfisher, which we do get here occasionally, also has fish as the main part of the diet. There's been an African civet walking up and down here. Half-collared, which is quite a small kingfisher. It's not the smallest, pygmy kingfisher is the smallest. Pygmy is probably about this big. Tiny. And the malachites, which is also quite a small kingfisher. We have seen it around here occasionally. Not too often though, unfortunately. It's one of my favourite birds. Chilly here. I've got my jacket on, but the wind's got a little bit of a nip to it. It's not chilly, so I'm not really expecting anyone to be using the mud wallows at the moment. But you never know. Just thinking about the guinea fowl actually. The tail francolin just in the road just reminded me of a difference that they have in trying to sort out their differences. And instead of fighting like the francolins do, kicking out at each other and flapping at each other, the guinea fowl will chase each other. And it's to do with the stamina. So if one can carry on running and outrun the other one, he's loose. Always forget about that hole. Yes, I do. I don't think I'm the only one. If one can keep running, then he is stronger than the other male. Let's just have a quick glimpse around. Hi Anne! Good morning to you in Vancouver Island. Great to hear from you, Anne. And they were pied kingfishers. The pied kingfishers being the black and white kingfishers who were sitting on the bank and checking out nesting sites. And they probably have used those nesting sites before. It doesn't look like anybody is around Pan at the moment. No. Lying down. Let's go and just check the side of the bank, so you can't see it too nicely here. And the woodland is the kingfisher with the bright red bill and the turquoise feathers. And they're the ones that nest in the trees rather than in the banks. Beaters also will nest in the banks. White-fronted beaters will nest together in the banks of, or sandbanks next to the rivers. And you'll see monitor lizards climbing up there and climbing into the nest sites and actually digging the holes slightly larger so they can get in. Another kingfisher calling. Pity for you, pity for you. Brown-hooded kingfisher this time, as opposed to the chir-chir of the woodland and the high-pitched whistle of the pied. We actually have the possibility to see quite a large number of kingfisher. The woodland, the brown-hooded kingfisher, pied kingfisher, the giant kingfisher, the malachites, and we've even seen the grey-hooded kingfisher. It looks very similar to the woodland, but it has the chestnut belly. And there is the brown, actually that is the grey-hooded. Just as I'm talking about it, beautiful. Please stay there. You can see that beautiful chestnut coloured belly I was just talking to you about. Perfect timing, little one. Just caught an insect. Much darker blue than the electric blue turquoise of the woodland kingfisher too. Yeah, we might be able to roll forward a little bit, maybe see a little bit better. Hopefully it won't fly off. Grey hooded kingfisher. This is the first time I've seen it here. Beautiful. Again, another kingfisher that you won't necessarily find near water. So it's grey-headed, not grey-hooded. Absolutely stunning. Now it is possible for us to see the other smaller kingfishers, like the malachite, the half-collared and the African pygmy kingfisher, and even the striped kingfisher. And just like its woodland kingfisher friend or relative, they are also into African migrants. I think we need to do a bit of magic here. And try once more. Nope. Absolutely beautiful. So I think we actually have the possibility to see 9 out of the 10 kingfishers here. The only one that we probably wouldn't see is the mangrove. Hi, Misha and Anderson. Good morning to you. Eating spiderweb again. There we go. And Anderson wants to know about the Gunda. It is diesel, and I couldn't quite hear everything else, but it does have power steering, which does help a great deal. I have driven Land Cruisers without power steering, and you certainly build up a lot of muscles. And probably to a certain degree, the diesel and the petrol will have some form of an impact on the environment. There's no way it couldn't. But I don't think it's in a huge quantity the immediate impact on the animals or the vegetation. But there obviously will be some impact. But the animals don't tend to stand behind the vehicles too much when they ticking over, because you usually switch off when there is animals around. And they do get used to the sounds. And in fact, it helps them to decide if they want to be seen or not, because if they hear a vehicle coming down the road and they're on the road, then it's up to them. If they don't want to be seen, they can move off the road. And I think someone was concerned about the animals almost being like the animals in the zoo, and that we can go and see them any time. And as you can see, we're driving around today. We haven't seen too many animals around this morning. And as I say, if animals don't want to be seen, they will hide and they will stay in the thicker bush. And if they don't mind being seen, then they're quite happy to sit out. Let's see if we've got another species of kingfisher. We could go for a record here. It's flown off. I think it was a woodland, but just wanted to double check it. Could have been a brown-hooded. So we're up to 3 species of kingfisher so far on the drive today. As I say, animals will tell you if they're not happy with your presence. They'll tell you to back off or go away. If they're not too phased, and they'll be quite happy for you to stay there. And believe me, I have seen animals go and hide. I've sat with lions before, and they were all sleeping out in the open, and there was a particular vehicle that was driven by someone, and unfortunately he'd tried to get too close to the animals too many times and upset them. And we used to have one vehicle for each person. And these animals got to know the sound of that particular engine. And I could sit there with the lions, they'd be all sleeping. As soon as they hear that vehicle approaching, their heads will be up and listening. And before that vehicle even got to the sighting, the lions had all disappeared into the bush. All you could see was a tail disappearing as soon as they could hear that vehicle. And I saw that on a number of occasions. And not just with lions, I saw it with the rhino, and I saw it with the elephants too. And they would literally go and hide. And they would maybe not go too far off into the bush, so they would literally just go and hide, so that you couldn't see them. If you see the animals here, most of them are relaxed. There may be animals that come in from Kruger and they're not too sure about the vehicles because they haven't met them too many times. But as soon as an animal has exposure to the vehicles, and they get used to the vehicles, and they get used to the vehicles not chasing them or driving too close to them, and just treating them with a bit of respect. They actually get used to that, and then they realise that the vehicles aren't anything to worry about. They're just there, they're part of their lives. And even the young animals, if they have a parent with them that doesn't react to the vehicle, they're more likely to settle down and relax around the vehicles. Mishu and Duna, the two male leopards, are a prime example of that. Rula has had vehicles through most of her life, probably all of her life, so she's used to them. She knows what they are, she knows what they're about. I think she knows that they come to see her sometimes. If she doesn't want to be seen, she'll stick to a very thick bush, and you won't see her. If she doesn't mind, then she'll pop out onto the road somewhere, or she'll be lying out in the open somewhere. And the same with Mishun and Duna, they've obviously picked up those habits from her. If you take the possible father of Mishun and Duna, Yambini Yordan, he used to be very skittish around the vehicles. It's possible that he came in from somewhere that he didn't see the vehicles very often, or he had a bad experience with vehicles. And just over the last year he's starting to settle down, and I think he's been around vehicles a couple of times with the boys and with Karula, and I think he's picked upon the fact that they're not too concerned about the vehicles. And he's usually okay with one vehicle now, whereas even at the start of last year he was still quite skittish. He would move away from the vehicles quite quickly. But even now, 2 vehicles is maybe a little bit too much for him, but he is starting to settle down with 2 vehicles, but certainly 3 vehicles there's no chance. Not at the moment. But it'll take time, and that's the thing, it does take a lot of time to build up the confidence in an animal, but it takes a moment to break it, and that's why it's so important not to push the animals. And they will be quite forgiving, especially if they have had a lot of good experience. They will be quite forgiving. Like Mishu the other day, sitting, hiding behind the bush. He's done it to us a couple of times. Apparently Induna's done it to Mark as well. And they'll sit there and think that you've seen them until you're right on top of them. And they may get a little bit of a fright and move off into the bush, but they'll sit down there maybe 10 or 15 meters away from us, so it's clear that they're not too fazed by it. But if we were to constantly keep going up to them too close, they would get fed up with it and they would move away. So that's why it's important for us as guides to respect those boundaries and to make sure that we don't push those boundaries too much all the time. And here's one of the other hippos. Got quite a big, deep rut forming there. Has there been any activity this afternoon, this morning even? Even this hippo's getting used to us now, I think. Doesn't even have to have his eyes above the water, he can just have his ears. But actually the eyesight's pretty good. Oh, I just saw the green-backed heron fly off, so I'm quite glad that it is still around, but it has flown off right on into the bush. I saw some movement flying in, and I just was looking with my binoculars to see where it was. I was hoping that we may have got a nice view of it from the other side. But wherever it landed, it flew off again. You don't seem to be too phased, do you, mister? Right, it is possible to see hippos out of water during the day like this, especially overcast. And when I've driven past here on a few occasions later on in the morning, I have seen him out feeding just in the immediate vicinity, but during the night times when they go out to forage on a larger scale. But during the summer they don't need to worry too much about going too far. But in winter time they may travel quite a few kilometers each night in search of grazing areas. Let's go around towards Zoe's Road and Impala Plains. See if we have any luck around there before we head back towards the quarantine area and see if the baboons have come out. If we have time, we might not have time. Oh, nice. Grey hornbills. We don't often get a chance to see these. They flew off. Did you fly in this tree here? Please stay there. You see him? That was the grey hornbills. You see the yellow-billed and the red-billed very often. You don't often see the grey hornbills. We're doing well with our birds this morning. I'd like to have shown you the green-backed heron. White-tailed mongoose is out and about. Searching for food last night by the looks of it. Rhino dung midden hasn't been used for quite a while now. I'm keeping an eye on the middens to see if they have been revisited. That should help to determine where the rhinos are going. Oh, long-tailed shrikes. They're very, very common. They're 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 very common. dwarf mongoose. I wonder if they're terrorising them. If there's any babies, there might be. They are a shrike after all. They will eat small rodents, insects, and a baby mongoose, if it's out and about, might be the right size. Or it could be they're using the mongoose to see if there's any insects that they disturb us. Not heard of that relationship before between a long-tailed shrike, or a magpie shrike as it's now known, and the mongoose. Quite a big family group this. There's at least 9 or 10 of them. They're doing extremely well here. On the junction of Finneman's Cut Line and Zoe's Road. Zebra have been walking around here. plenty of mongoose out. Probably enjoying the overcast weather. Somebody's been walking down here. I think it looks more like a hyena. Beautiful kudu in the road. 2 bulls. And what have you spotted, boys? He's got fantastic eyesight as well as hearing. And the front one especially wasn't even listening to as the back one was. Still is. I see they're getting irritated more by the oxpeckers than anything. Well, they're still not 100% sure of what they're seeing, I think. They haven't given an alarm call. You see both of them just completely focused. I might be able to pull forward a little bit more now that he's moved a little bit. I was going to say, we'll have a quick look before they run off. It could be the zebra they're seeing up ahead. There's a lot of zebra tracks here. Warthog up ahead. I wonder if it was that making some noise in the bush. It could have been them. You just see the tail disappearing. Grass is just a little bit too long. I wonder if they were in the bush making noise. Ah, there they are. Can you see them behind the bush? Maybe I can see them. And that was why the kudu weren't alarm calling, because they weren't too sure what it was. They could probably hear the noise and just didn't see them. Oh, there are a couple of babies there with them. There we go. Tell him yet. There's probably two females there with the offspring. Not likely to be a male and female. So I think mystery solved this time, which is always nice. hoping to see some sign of the baboons. It doesn't look like it. So maybe they've gone north rather than south onto quarantine. Oh well. Well, we'll just have to keep a lookout for them, but I'm pretty sure they are in the area. I'm sure I did hear them the last couple of days now. So I think they're just keeping to this thick bush. But I think the leopard may have scared them this morning. But fingers crossed. Keep a lookout around the dam on the waterhole channel this afternoon and during the day for the crocodile as well as the leopard. You never know, they may just pop out, and maybe even the baboons as well. So definitely something to keep watching for. But from myself and the rest of the crew, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon here on Wild Earth. Take care.